Good morning.
Please remember to tag off.
Thank you.
The hour mark, and I still managed to get through. And I was like, bloody people, god damn it.
Please tag on at the front. Please tag on at the front.
That bus was moving that way. That bus was moving
Good afternoon, everyone, and kia ora koutou katoa. I want to start today by acknowledging the sacrifices New Zealanders have made over the 6.5 weeks we have been in alert levels 4 and 3 in order to beat COVID-19. When COVID arrived in the form of a global pandemic, she was terrified. But she was writing to me out of sheer relief. There may be no cure, no vaccine for COVID yet, but there was each and every one of you, every single Kiwi who made the decision to stay home, to make sacrifices, and you did that for her boy. You did something for someone's mother, for someone's father, someone's child. You created a wall that meant the virus couldn't reach those that it could easily take. And for that, there are many people who are grateful to you, their team of 5 million. Case numbers remain low. And in the last week, we have had 2 days in a row of no cases. By the end of level 4, our R value, the number of people each case goes on to infect, was 0.4. Under level 3, it has remained low. We can now undertake up to 12,000 tests a day. 3.5% of the entire population has been tested, and our testing rates are amongst the highest in the world per capita, ahead of countries like Australia, the UK, Germany, Singapore and South Korea. Today, I am announcing that Cabinet agrees we are ready to move into level 2, to open up the economy, but to do it as safely as possible. So let me set out how we will do that. On Thursday this week, retail, malls, cafes, restaurants, cinemas, and other public spaces, including playgrounds and gyms, can reopen. All will be required to have physical distancing and strict hygiene measures in place. You can begin to move around New Zealand, but space yourself out, especially if you're using public transport. And of course, health services will restart. On Monday, 18 May, all children and young people will be able to return to school and early learning. This staging is to give parents, teachers and education facilities time to plan. And finally, on Thursday, 21 May, bars will be able to open with all the requirements set out last week, including that seating must be provided, there must be space between tables, and there mustn't be multiple waiters and waitresses serving a single table. We have left bars till last because they do pose the most risk. As we can see from South Korea that recently opened up their bars only to close them again after one person created an outbreak of 40 people and caused 1,500 tests. While we have put in place measures and expectations to make all hospitality as safe as possible, these few extra days really do give us a chance to lock in the data from level 3 and feel more secure that we're ready for this move. Overall though, the upshot is that in 10 days' time we will have reopened most businesses in New Zealand, and sooner than many other countries around the world. But that fits with our plan, and our plan was go hard, go early, so we can get our economy moving again sooner, and so we can get the economic benefit of getting our health response right. We will be around more people, but we can do that and get more activity going if we balance that with keeping our distance and keeping our social gatherings small for now. Our strength so far has been our willingness to learn about this virus and change the way that we behave to beat it. And we've learnt a lot, especially from our clusters. If you've followed their origin, you'll know that they're a slice of Kiwi life. They have started at wedding receptions, stag do's, a conference in Queenstown that included drinks and socialising, a bar and metre. There is a theme. When we come together to socialise in large numbers with one another, there is risk. The best insurance policy we have for that risk is to reduce the size of our socialising for now. And that is what the Director General of Health has recommended that we do for now. Parties, big social events, or anything designed to be for mixing and mingling won't be allowed to happen for groups that are larger than 10. Gatherings at home need to be kept at 10. Church and religious events, weddings, funerals, stag do's, all limited to 10 for now. And if you're wanting to head to a restaurant or a bar, they won't be able to take group bookings for larger than 10. This, alongside social distancing, is our insurance policy. And why 10? Simple. If something goes wrong with a group of 10, that is much easier to contain, much easier to contact trace, much less likely that if something goes wrong, the whole country will have to experience more restrictions.
But for the general public, what I can say is we're neither recommending nor requiring masks. However, if you do choose to use a mask, that's fine, and just make sure you know how to use it safely so that you reduce the risk to yourself and others.
Evidence from even though evidence from other jurisdictions, they're using masks, the matter, of course, that's not something the New Zealand government thinks is on the evidence required, or is it supply? Are there any other issues dictating evidence?
It's not a supply issue, it's an evidence issue, and what I would say is the evidence is very much in the balance, and that's why you will find various learned commentators reaching different positions on this very issue. That doesn't mean that's our final position, and we will keep watching. But at the moment, we're not requiring or recommending that the general public use masks.
Surgical mask, it'll be surprising to many to learn a surgical mask, for instance, should be changed up to 3 times an hour. And of course, when you're changing it, you need to be very careful that you're not making any contact with the mask, and ultimately that you're not allowing it to become damp through the entire period you're wearing it. And so making sure that it's worn properly, I think, is one of the reasons evidence really can often fall on either side when you're asking those outside of the health profession to wear them. Henry?
Just to be clear, the limit of 10, does that take into account people inside that bubble already? So if the household has 8 people, 2 more
So
people?
ultimately, to keep it nice and simple, we're saying don't let your gatherings be larger than 10. If someone wants to catch up with a play date for their kids, then often it might be easier just to take them out and meet up with a friend in the park. We are trying to keep this nice and simple, which is why we've said let's limit those social gatherings to 10.
Schools.
You go ahead, Tara.
In crowded schools, physical distancing won't always be possible.
Yeah.
How should schools mitigate that?
Yeah, and look, that's something from the very beginning we have acknowledged and not had an expectation that schools and children won't be able to be children. So what we've done is work alongside the education sector and to make sure that there are practices in place, hygiene practices that help support a safe environment. And ultimately, we wouldn't move to be having children going back to school if we didn't believe it was safe. And I absolutely appreciate that. I think about this from my perspective and want to make sure that we can give that assurance to other parents too.
Would you allow some to follow that?
Prime Minister, the address to the NZX this morning, though, that was deliberately addressed to you as a government. That was an address to you. So how do you feel about the NZX being used in that way to try and force your hand?
Well, again, I think I've already given my response on that. Down the back.
With the 10-person limit, do you think that's going to have an effect on tourism operators, or would that?
No, I don't believe it should. I mean, ultimately, what's most important to them is the ability for people to be able to travel regionally. And what we've balanced here is, look, let's open up that regional travel, but let's apply the ongoing restrictions to the thing that actually creates risk. And that's what people are doing together. So that, for instance, does enable a family, for instance, to take a small breakaway to some other part of the country and to engage in some tourism activity. The only thing it's stopping is them being involved in a large party while they're there. So no, I don't think it should stop that. Keeping in mind, though, of course, this is what we're doing for the next 2 weeks. We will continue, all going to plan, to continue to see that opening up.
At level 2, is it Prime Ministerial business as usual? Will you continue to move around the country, or resume moving around the country, and will you move back to Auckland?
Yeah, I actually, just for the pure logistics of the post-budget period, haven't got any plans to move immediately. But my intention is to act in the exact same way that I have encouraged other New Zealanders to. That's what I've done all the way through, and that's what I'll do at Alert Level 2. So that means that I'll be applying the same restrictions, but I'll also be looking to move around a bit more as well.
What are you looking forward to about level 2? Are you looking forward to a Prime Ministerial beer, or a haircut, or a workout?
Oh, I'm actually really looking forward to giving my sister a hug. I haven't seen her in a couple of months because I haven't been home, so that'll be nice.
Today, obviously, a wholesale move to level 2 is on the table. So is that an indication that we are probably going to spend longer in level 2 than we've been spending in levels 4 and 3? Is this a longer period that we should get used to?
Not necessarily. It all depends on what happens with our case numbers. The goal has always been, as safely as possible, to move back to some form of normality as soon as possible. So we haven't put a final number on level 2, but if we are able to sustain low and no cases, then that will mean that we are further and further towards our goal, our ongoing goal of elimination, and that we'll be able to further open up. There will be some things that will be with us regardless, and I do need to point out that even if we have low and no numbers, we will still be looking at border restrictions, and we will still, of course, be encouraging everyone to practice those hygiene measures that will keep all of us safe.